Very good clips. Give it up for very good clips. Go subscribe to them. I believe the dancing Israeli thing today. I believe the dancing Israelis after 9/11. I believe that whole thing. And I looked into it and I found so many things that disqualified of it. Even though there was like a news thing.
What are you talking about? Dancing Israelis?
Supposedly they were Jews. They were Israelis dancing on the roof that a lady filmed as like the towers were going down.
That was about Muslims.
No, the dancing Israelis. They were dancing. And they said they were there to document the event. And they were in Mossad, and the FBI supposedly arrested them and interrogated them forever. And then they went on Israeli TV and talked about how they were being detained.
Okay,
for their stuff. And then they were on a list that the FBI had them on a list as people were living in America that were agents of a foreign entity.
Okay.
But then I looked into it, and it's widely discredited by like people like the ADL and anti-Semitic SUP.
I can't
Jewish
tell
hate.
at this point if you're doing a wacky bit or if this is an actual theory that Jews were celebrating.
I mean, I can show you the news thing if you want, and then you can explain it to me.
You're such a fucking honkler that I can't make heads or tails of you.
This is the... Here you go.
Holy
WTC
shit.
strike was an attack.
This is a weird little place.
So surely these men are locked behind bars to this day, right? Surely they were transferred to Guantanamo and held without trial for 15 years as part of the war on terror, weren't they? No.
I can't sit
They
at this
were
angle
immediately
for
transferred
this
to
long.
federal custody.
Here, you can move the chair. Sorry, buddy.
Just like point it straight at that?
Yeah, no, just like have it like, kind of on the side, you know what I mean?
Angle it a bit.
Yeah, just angle it. I can show you I think it was on ABC was the initial thing. Maybe I should have saved it as a link because I initially had it as a Dancing Israelis. Maybe it was ABC. An Asian woman called it in, I think. Oh, here you go, right here. This is it. This is the White Van ABC News 2020 preview on urban moving systems and 9/11 high fivers
What happened
dancing
to the
Israelis.
dancing Israelis?
In the days after the September attacks, there were countless rumors about strange coincidences surrounding the events. One report about a group of Middle Eastern men spotted the morning of September 11th parked just across the river from New York City has not gone away. Investigation of their presence has led to questions about whether Israel was conducting espionage on U.S. soil. We're joined now by ABC's John Miller with an exclusive report this evening.
That's right, Elizabeth. This is a case that took the FBI
That's
and
right,
the CIA.
Elizabeth. Hail Hitler. Long live mein Führer.
Let's
Death
talk
to the Jews.
now to the biggest goy in showbiz that we could find.
More than 2 months to sort out, while 5 Israelis waited in jail. It began when
Look at this lady. This is the lady that spotted him, okay? She looks pretty trustworthy to me. Looks like a nice gal.
That looks like a busybody to me.
woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey.
Which, by the way, I do have a red flag about this woman. You're watching the Twin Towers burn. You're not running toward the fire to help people. You're standing
the
idly
thing.
by. It's like she says she loves her country because she's tattling on these dancing Israelis, but she wasn't one of the first responders, and she was right there.
She could've
She's a
ushered-
capable woman.
If she started heading that direction as soon as she saw smoke, she could have ushered a couple extra people out of the building.
I think you're right. She could have been a helping hand, is what I'm saying.
And yet, what did you do? I just like watching. It's like, this is Faces of Death to her.
I'm enjoying the show.
She goes, ooh, I hope there's another falling man soon.
Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy, you know. They didn't look shocked to me, you know. They didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI.
Steve Buscemi, bottom
Sources
right.
tell ABC.
Wait, let's see him. He does not look like Jewish, I will say that. That's the only hole in this thing so far.
Yeah, look at this Jew, everybody. Shut the hell up.
Maybe he's an albino Jew.
No, that's not. That's a patsy.
He's a Fargo Jew. Jew. Definitely a Jew.
Okay, don't have to even take a second on that guy.
Larry David that over here.
Like, oh, wait, just have to finish writing Seinfeld.
Caveman Jew.
Well, Devin Costa, I guess.
And not a bad-looking Jew there.
Him?
Yeah, not bad, huh? He kind of has a beatnik thing
Well,
to him.
that bottom middle is the hottest one.
This guy? Oh, you like the darker complexion, huh?
He's got a full head of hair. Got like a big strong nose, nice chin. Go back up to the other guy. Not to get all gay on this thing, but when in Rome.
Yeah, you know you're totally right.
Yeah,
My
what the
bad.
hell?
You're right. This is a hideous Jew. Actually,
wait,
you're
okay.
right, Joey. Your
Yeah,
words,
that's a
by the way.
hideous Jew.
Joey said he was a hideous Jew. I never said that.
Were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells. The FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th? And did they have any advance knowledge of what was going to happen that day? The men said they were just taking
Hang on, Ben,
pictures
I'm
at the
sorry.
time.
Could you pause for a second? What were they caught doing?
Dancing.
So the FBI got involved because they were dancing?
It's a very odd sight. As the towers are going down, they're dancing on the roof and they're taking pictures together. Supposedly, also days before this happened, there were pictures that they found of them standing with the towers in the background. They're holding a lighter to the tower like this. Supposedly. Now, again, I've also seen articles that say that this is debunked. I want to watch the full ABC thing because I haven't seen it. I only saw a small clip of this, and I was like, all right, because I tried to rein myself back with the...
We'll wait for more info on that.
I don't want to actually be an anti-Semite. I'm anti-Israel. I'm anti-war.
So they were picked
I'm
up...
anti-surveillance state. I'm not anti-Jew. I have Jews to my left, Jews to my right. My landlord's Jewish. My wife's got Jewish friends. Okay, I'm trying to separate Zionists from Jews because there is also a distinct difference there, right?
Because you're saying Zionists are okay, but Jews are bad.
No,
What the fuck?
No, I'm saying Zionism is evil and bad.
That's why it's crazy to say that to me when I came. I just did a fucking 50-minute Uber over here, and you say that to my fucking face.
Sorry, Jewish Zionists are bad. Christian Zionists like yourself, you know, I pity you, actually.
How's it worse? But wait a minute. So they're arrested while the towers were still up.
No, like the FBI came by and they were like still dancing and they were like...
While the towers were up.
Yeah, and then when they went down, and then they went on Israeli TV and said they were documenting the event, and that's why they were up there.
Were they picked up after the Israeli TV appearance? And after they were on the radar? Or are you telling me that they were
No, this
arrested?
lady reported. She goes, "There's 5 men. It's really weird. They keep dancing and cheering on the towers going down."
I go,
and she goes, "Are they the terrorists that I keep seeing on the TV that they say it's a terrorist attack?"
Hi, this is 911. What's your emergency? Lines aren't busy because there's not the biggest national emergency of all time happening right now. How can I help? Oh, you see a guy dancing? Oh my God, let me dispatch the FBI. Ben, listen to what you're saying. This is nonsense.
The FBI came way later.
That's okay. Thank you.
Later.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Dunce.
They said they worked for a company called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrests, the offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some...
They go, they're hooked up to the detector. They go, okay, is the moon a safe, a big vault where you guys store your gems and your gold?
It's like a space bank for Jews.
Then he goes, no. He goes, beep, 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 beep. They go, okay, lock him up, Jew.
It is a space bank.
Debate among American intelligence officials. Many investigators believe some of the men were part of an Israeli operation aimed at monitoring radical Islamic charities that support groups like Hamas. Something lawyers for the 5 men and the Israeli government strongly deny.
These 5 Israelis were not involved in any intelligence operation in the United States. The story is simply false.
In the end, the FBI concluded there was no evidence that any of the 5 men had advance knowledge of the September 11th plot.
As it
After
turned out,
71
they were
days,
just annoying Jews. So they let them go.
However, they gave them dancing lessons as a way to apologize and set them on their way.
Well, I'm not convinced.
We got another minute and a half here.
I can't imagine they're saving the best.
This is what I'm saying. There's enough holes in it, not enough confirmation that I go, okay, I'm backing up. I'm not an anti-Semite, like you say. I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good guy.
Just make it look even worse.
No, I keep myself on there. I said I wasn't going to talk about this. You were the one interested in it, and you said, by the way,
Jews for 5 hours on this thing.
Do you see how Zionists do it? By the way, he goes, they weren't dancing Israelis, they were dancing Palestinians, is what he said, or dancing Arabs. Some shit you said. They were dancing Muslims.
Yeah, the ones who actually knocked the towers down. I'm more concerned about them.
Wait, George Bush is Muslim?
You're still on that trash.
the 5 Israelis were deported, leaving some ruffled feathers among both U.S. and Israeli officials. According to federal officials, the 5 men have been barred from returning to the United States for 10 years, they say because they violated immigration laws.
Okay, so Mud Puppy, who, by the way, Mud Puppy, I believe might be Jewish. I'm not really sure, or Israeli. I don't really know.
Is that because mud is in the name? You just think...
So Mud Puppy said Israel did 9/11 to trigger the Iraq War. Now, I believe Benjamin Netanyahu is on record saying that 9/11 was good for Israel, is what he said.
It was great for us. We love 9/11. A lot of us got a lot richer on 9/11. Doesn't mean we planned. It was a lucky little mistake,
Sure.
as the Panther says.
A little bonus.
Yeah.
A little bonus
a little
for
freebie.
me.
We call that a freebie.
Bottom line, John, is there any evidence any of these 5 men knew about the September 11th attacks before they occurred?
The FBI spent a great deal of time examining this question. It does not appear that they were in place taking pictures before the planes hit, but shortly thereafter. And they say they haven't uncovered evidence that any of these 5 men, and they did their backgrounds, they searched apartments, they telephone records and so on, had any advanced knowledge of the attack.
And while the FBI or certain sources might believe that, in fact, they were Israeli intelligence, they don't believe that the U.S. was a target, that they were actually investigating Muslim groups?
They believe if this was an intelligence operation by Israel, that it was focused on the Islamic groups and charities that raise money for groups that are considered by U.S. law enforcement and others terrorist groups. Here. And you'll note that after September 11th, the U.S. moved on many of these groups with indictments, arrests, raids on their headquarters, something that hadn't happened prior.
So they were 2 spies, and they were trying to sort of dance to see who joined in, right? Because then if somebody started dancing with them,
correct,
and they weren't a spy, then they could go, okay, well, yeah, he's not a good one. Let's keep an eye on him, and blah, blah. They're trying to prevent terrorism from spreading.
I think Americans, they see 9/11, they go, what a great opportunity to be anti-Semitic. That's really what people in power do. They go, wow, 9/11 just happened. But you know what? Great opportunity to be anti-Semites, actually. Let's start arresting Israelis and Jews left and right and start trying to pin this on the Jews before the American public can find out it's Muslims. Joey, I think it's kind of... I think you're right here, actually. And once again, Jews are scapegoated, as they always are.
As always. Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Now let's move into the Larry Silverstein thing, because Larry Silverstein on Charlie Rose is very fucking weird.
You're doing 9 hours of hating Jews in the middle of the week.
It's just a little sunshine in the middle of the week for everybody. Larry Silverstein, Charlie. You know, his kids, both of his kids worked at, I almost said both of his kids worked at 9/11. Both of his kids worked at the World Trade Center. They also didn't go to work that day.
By the way, I'm known as an ignorant person already, so I'm not even gonna, it's okay. Who is Larry Silverstein?
Oh, come on. He owned the World Trade Center.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't know that.
He is Jewish, so I should let you know you should defend him.
He was a big guy in Loose Change, right?
You should know he's on your team. He's Jewish.
I'll
he's
defend
on
him up
your
and
team.
down. I'll defend him up and down, but I didn't even get the memo.
Okay, here we go. Ah, fuck. Here we go.
Where were you on September 11th?
You know,
Where were you, Charlie?
I
You
was
fucking pervert.
home.
Fuck you, Charlie Rose. What were you doing? Raping? Or what? Did he have a trap door or something? Or he was fingering his assistants, and now you're questioning Larry Silverstein, a business owner, New York business owner. Where were you? Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Charlie Rose was beating interns with a bar of soap and a sock.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. How dare you question a great guy like this?
Like a businessman.
A businessman.
Minding his own business.
Jesus.
Okay, so this is where Larry Silverstein was on 9/11, he says.
I was.
And by the way, do listen to the pauses are really weird to me.
Where were you on September 11th?
You know, I was home.
Like September 11th.
And
what was that? What happened then?
The only reason I wasn't where I was every morning, subsequent to the 26th day of July, my mornings were spent usually at a breakfast meeting at Windows, an 8 o'clock breakfast meeting, Windows, the top of it, and then going down to visit with my tenants, my new tenants.
Good fucking guy.
Getting to know them, understanding their problems and so forth, ascertaining how I can
Great
help
landlord.
service their
Man of the
needs
people,
better.
yeah.
And
Probably
which is
giving them discounts on rent.
First, one of the first things you do when you acquire a property, you begin to meet your tenants and start talking with them. And so my mornings were spent at the Trade Center, and then by noon I was back uptown. And so that particular morning, because I have light-colored hair and fair skin, and I'm an annuity to the dermatologist, my wife, God bless her, had made an appointment for me at the doctor. And I remember dressing to go to the doctor. I'm finally saying to my wife, I said, sweetheart, I've got so much to do downtown. I got to cancel this. I've got to go downtown. And she said, you're not going to cancel this appointment. You're going to the dermatologist. And, having been married now to the same woman for 46 years, you get this sense of
46-year marriage? What a good guy.
Okay.
Can you pause for a sec?
He's loyal.
So he's loyal as
He's
hell.
loyal, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's like 46 years to be married that long. In modern times, you don't really see stuff like that. And it says a lot about somebody's character. Go ahead and play.
And then, just minutes later, received a telephone call to turn on a television set and witnessed this horrendous circumstance. The first plane hitting, and then the second plane hitting, of course, with the
Let's
second
start crying. Thinking about
it
it.
became obvious that this was terrorism. But thereafter was absolute hell. Because so many of our people were down there.
Worst day of my friggin' life,
We were
guys.
in occupancy, temporary occupancy of the 88th floor of the North Tower prior to a moving
Because just as soon as me and my friends stopped dancing, we...
And so my children, two of my children,
very upset.
Roger and Lisa, both work with me. They were on their way to work at 9 o'clock. Many others, about 100 people with us on their way to work. And as it turns out, had the plane struck 15 minutes later, our firm would have been decimated. As it is, we lost 4 of our people, 2 of whom I had hired just a few weeks prior to that.
Pretty expendable, I will
And,
say.
there are 6 children
Low kill
among them.
counts. Not devil's advocate right now.
No, you're right. If they were controlled everything, they think of how many people they could kill if they were bloodthirsty. You're right, Joey. They could have done 9/11 times.
Well, no, I was saying...
They could have done the triplets tower.
Yes.
Forget the Twin Tower. How about the triplets tower?
Very good.
I guess I call them the triplet towers because of the World Trade Center 7. Because it was triplets that got struck that day.
A lot of people forget there was another tower, third tower.
Building 7.
But no, I was saying...
Sheesh.
But no, I was saying, actually supporting your side, saying, because he just said he only lost 2 of his own employees. Or like 4 total, but 2 of them he had just hired.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even like important Zog guys. So yeah, that's kind of one thing that does support you. But I think for the most part, we've exonerated Jews here tonight. You're welcome, Jews.
You're welcome, Jews.
You're welcome, Gelman.
Okay, let's go to 9/11.
Okay. Well, okay, let's go into
The
9.
knew it was going to happen. They knew it was going to happen. We didn't know it was going to happen. We had an idea it was going to happen, but the fucking knew it was going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And those fucking dirty silversmithing knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't, and those filthy fucking knew it was going to happen. And they didn't tell us about it. That's all. That's it. It was terrorists who did it. Same thing with I don't know.
That's your whole thing about 9/11 is the Jews did it?
The Jews knew it was going to happen.
So the Jews orchestrated 9/11.
They didn't do it. They knew it was going to happen. They didn't warn us. Have you looked at the dancing Israelis?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, they knew it was going to happen.
Look, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just wondering if you have anything else to say other than the Jews did it. I mean,
Nothing. But here's the bottom line: is with people get caught up in the sauce quite frequently, right?
Red herrings, a lot of red herrings.
No, dude, who gives a fuck
about 9/11?
Yes. People get caught up on those bullshit things on planet Earth. Who gives a shit if the moon landing was fake? Who gives a fuck about 9/11? It doesn't fucking matter. The world is run by demons, and they're fucking trying to infiltrate your life at every cornerstone they possibly can. Who gives a shit about 3,000 people who died in New York one day? It didn't fucking affect you.
Mm-hmm.
So who gives a shit? Stop fucking caught up on that shit. Who gives a shit about the Holocaust? Sorry. It's just like, it didn't affect you. It's horrible. It happened. I'll be honest with you. It happened. The majority of the people killed in the Holocaust were killed in like the woods. They weren't killed at camps. They were fucking burned to death in barns. They were shot to death.
I mean, if people start talking about the Holocaust, I go...
Exactly. Exactly. No, it's like, dude, honestly, people get caught up on the dumbest shit. Just fucking focus on the task at hand. Focus on the future. Stop getting get caught up on 9/11. 9/11 doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. Who gives a fuck? Stop. It's stupid. Who cares? So what? It made us enter the Gulf War II. Great. Who gives a shit? Fucking most mid-war in history.
Yeah, I mean, we got some cool movies out of it. Like
we got Fallujah. Oh yeah, fucking bunch of guys on the fucking podcast. Fucking Fallujah.
I like Jarhead.
Yeah, Jarhead, fucking sick, dude. Fucking yeah, Fallujah, dude.
Jarhead,
dude. Yeah, dude. I fucking domed an Iraqi 3-year-old. It was fucking sick, dude.
Just executing a child and going Semper Fi.
Dude, did you watch fucking American Sniper?
Yeah, I did.
You remember the scene where the guy's drilling into a child's leg with a fucking power drill? Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck, dude. That shit fucking rocked, dude. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid. Who cares? Focus on the task at hand. The task at hand is fighting the demons that live on the other side of the moon that are in cooperation with the... You know what I mean?
So you would say this is... I believe people call this white pilling. This is the term, right? White pilling.
when you become a bright
God and Jesus and light and
yes.
Do you accept the Eastern idea that
you said Eastern idea? I check out. Honestly, the second I hear Eastern, boom, gone.
Here we go.
Which the buildings were made up.
Okay, I watched about 4 minutes of this. I've heard apparently. Okay, so this documentary apparently it's pretty hard to find. Dr. Judy Wood. This is in the realm of the towers were holograms. So it's a pretty fun place to play. We're going to have some fun right now. I've never really heard out this argument. I've heard of Judy Wood. Let's see what she has to say. Again, this is in the funky territory
So
of...
it's been 19 years now since September 11th, 2001. And still the primary destructive mechanism of the Twin Towers and Building 7 is highly debated. You have people like Dmitry Kolozov saying that it was a mini nuke when there's no ionizing radiation and the towers were destroyed from the top down. And you also had survivors in Stairwell B. And you also had only a surface wave seismic reading. When you had a mini nuke sitting on bedrock, that theory falls apart instantly. And then you have the architects and engineers theory that it was nanothermite explosives placed on every level of the building, every corner. Still, we didn't hear explosives. We didn't see bright flashes of light. The building turned to dust midair. Dr. Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go? Was
excellent book.
Was what got us started on this journey to the truth, right?
Yeah. So yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about when I first.
Real quick, people in the comments are saying they can't even find this if they search for it, and it's not unlisted. So, here I'll try to post this real quick. I'll post this in the YouTube chat here. Hold on. Let me get the damn chat up. There you go. Now you guys can save that. Alrighty, hold on.
Brought this book to your attention and what you first thought of it.
What really got me was the pictures in Judy's book. Like, I'm a show me kind of guy. People can tell you their opinion, and everybody's got one, just like everybody's got a you know what. But the pictures were speaking out to me like, it was like, don't you see something wrong in this picture compared to what the official explanation is? And everybody knows the official explanation. The building's pancaked because of the fire, made it weak. It collapsed into itself and really not creating any much devastation in downtown Manhattan. I don't think you can get a demolition expert to pull those buildings down as nicely as they came down.
Oh, no way.
But my biggest concern was what was left at the end did not support the story.
Dr. Judy Wood earned a PhD degree from Virginia Tech and is a former professor of mechanical engineering. She has research expertise in experimental stress analysis, structural mechanics, deformation analysis, materials characterization, and materials engineering science. Her research has involved testing materials, including complex material systems in the area of photomechanics, or the use of optical and image analysis methods to determine physical properties of materials and measure how materials respond to forces placed on them. She taught graduate and undergraduate engineering classes and has co-authored over 60 peer-reviewed papers and journal publications in her areas of expertise. Dr. Wood has conducted a comprehensive forensic investigation of what physically happened to the World Trade Center site on 9/11. And based on her analysis of the evidence she gathered in 2007, she filed a federal qui tam case for science fraud against the contractors who contributed to the official National Institute of Standards and Technology report.
The moment I decided to do that, I sort of said something to my students. I said, if you knew the world was going to end in a week, and it was very little chance you could save it, would you try?
I hope I live. I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car.
One of the main things that can be observed if you study the videos from the day is what Dr. Judy Wood has called dustification.
The dancing Israelis. Now, they certainly could be holograms, sure, but what's important here is that we remember the buildings were owned by Jews. Let's not get lost in the weeds about how it was done and whether they were holograms or not. The buildings were owned by Jews and they were taken down by Jews.
The day is what Dr. Judy Wood has called dustification. And this is where you can actually see a significant proportion of the material of which the buildings were made up turning to dust.
So what we're going to learn is that the towers didn't burn up, nor did they slam to the
See what I told you? They turned to dust in midair. This is what she's saying. Let's hear her out.
ground, but turned into dust in midair. That's not a collapse, that's dust squirting up. Look at these beams falling with dust trailing behind them, opaque dust. It initially blocked out all of the sunlight, 100% of the sunlight, so it was pitch black. It's very dense dust. And you come to the realization that these pieces of material are becoming dust. They're frothing up into dust as they fall. And they didn't hit the ground. If they had slammed to the ground, there would be over 1 million tons of debris left stacked up in the ground. That didn't happen. Manhattan would have been flooded. Well, as we'll see, the towers were built in the Hudson River with a dike around them. If you slam 1 million tons of debris down onto the dike, you're going to break it. Didn't happen. And if you slammed 1 million tons of debris to the ground, it's going to make a thud. The seismic signals did not reflect that. Michael Ober said, I don't remember the sound of the building hitting the ground. Somebody told me it was measured on the Richter scale. I don't know how true.
So far, look, I'm no scientist. I don't understand anything. I barely recall what I have for breakfast. Actually, I always remember what I have for breakfast. It's eggs and potatoes, carrots, fresh squeezed orange juice, and a latte with cheese on top of the eggs. Raw cheese from an Amish farm. Shout out Jack for the Amish farm hookup. I think I'm gonna go with, I like goat's milk more than raw cow milk though. I've been getting the A2 goat milk from Whole Foods and Sprouts. I like it more. Let's stay on topic here. Listen, the buildings themselves were owned by Jews and insured by Jews. What does that tell us?
True that is. If the building's hitting the ground that hard, why do I not remember the sound of it?
If every floor were to pancake in line with the official model of the collapse, then the time required would be approximately 100 seconds, not the almost free-fall collapse rate of around 10 seconds that we all saw with our own eyes. Surprisingly, there was little collateral damage to nearby buildings that were not targeted. Although every building with a WTC prefix had to be torn down because they were damaged beyond repair.
You realize those dust particles were smaller than anything that's been seen with like fires or with pulverization.
I didn't know that about all
I've
the
got
WTC
a shortened
buildings.
version of my talk, why the NIST World Trade Center reports are false. Basically, it's about why they're false and unscientific. So today I will discuss evidence related to the official investigations conducted by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, whose reports comprise the final official explanation for what happened at the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. Before we get to the reports, however, let me mention that the first pertinent point to consider is the low probability that the only 3 instances of a skyscraper suffering global collapse due to fire occurred all on the same day in the same place. There have been many raging building fires, much worse than existed in any of the World Trade Center buildings, but no global collapse has ever resulted from those fires. We can see from these photos that the towers appeared to have exploded, starting at the top and then going all the way down. At the top of each tower, the debris appeared to shoot upward and outward as much of the solid structure turned to dust. This is counterintuitive to the idea that the building was being crushed downward. Many of us...
Look, man, I'm gullible. You can convince me of anything. I love a crazy and wacky idea. So far, completely and totally on board. Take me wherever you're going. Tell me they're holograms. Tell me Israel did it. Tell me whatever you want.
Have asked ourselves, is this what it looks like when a building is softened or weakened from fire?
At the beginning of its final destruction, World Trade Center 2 tips or twists to the east, but turns to dust before hitting the ground. The tipping top falsifies the cliffs to the east.
I've never seen that image. That's interesting.
At the beginning of its final destruction, World Trade Center 2 tips or twists to the east, but turns to dust before hitting the ground. The tipping top falsifies the claims by NIST that it was an inevitable collapse.
If the leaning top had fallen as a rigid block, it would have landed on World Trade Center 4. When we look, it is not there. Not only is it not there, but neither is the main body of World Trade Center 4 itself.
That was a big aha moment for me about the tipping.
Look, if anyone's going to get to the bottom of this, it's us. I want you to believe in yourself right now. We're going to figure this out.
Top. It looks like it stops tipping, and it looks like it goes straight down. Well, if you look at angular momentum, and you're going to obey the laws of physics, it does. But what it does is prove that the building is no longer a rigid body. You know, the whole thing, tipping, has angular momentum, but if suddenly all of that top portion turns into little itty-bitty specks of dust, each one can keep rotating. So the whole thing doesn't continue rotating as a rigid body, but each of the little specks rotates. And that way it conserves angular momentum and doesn't violate the laws of physics. So that's a way of proving that the top turned to dust.
In this video, we can see that some of the core columns survive the rest of the building being peeled away from it like a banana. But then these core columns themselves turn to dust before our eyes.
Oh, damn. Wait, why did it turn to dust? Because it was really hot? Well, the music that's playing behind this is very weird and kind of speculative and boopy and beepy. So I have to say that so far, what I'm looking at is I'm feeling the way I'm supposed to be feeling.
Stephanopoulos is down in Lower Manhattan today. George, I don't know if you heard a little earlier me raise this question, which was actually raised by ABC's Jackie Judd as we look at these areas down below. When you look at where the towers used to stand, there is surprisingly so little rubble. Where did all the rubble go?
It's a very good question, Peter, and I have asked some people who've been doing some of the rescue and recovery work this morning. If you look behind me, you can see the very remains, the skeletal remains of the World Trade Center. And one volunteer, Robert Gerlinski, explained to me the reason there's so little rubble is that all of it simply fell down into the ground and was pulverized, evaporated.
Where did the towers go? That's the title of your book. Where did the towers go?
Actually, it was that conversation between Peter Jennings and George Stephanopoulos that inspired this title. You know, where is all the rubble? Where did it go? And I was eager that day, like, you know, yeah, I'm glad somebody's asking that. So we have this image of before and after. The little, you know, yellow box on the bottom corner is all that's left. Of the buildings. We've got to remember what used to be there. These huge buildings. And, you know, they're gone. And just this little stub of a part of a building is all that's left.
I love these graphics created by Adam Dwyer because they give you a real sense of how much of the building actually went missing. Here's a shot of World Trade Center 1 rubble, and in the background we can see Building 7 still frothing up into dust.
It was there,
so
now
we know
it's
it was
missing.
before 5:20 p.m. that day. So the story that they shipped all that steel off to China just doesn't make sense. They were doing a bucket brigade for a while there, just moving stuff with buckets because they didn't want to, you know, hurt any of the potential survivors under the rubble. In the book Report from Ground Zero, Assistant Chief Firefighter Harry Myers says, "I never saw a file cabinet, never saw a desk, a chair, never saw a telephone, never saw any type of office furniture. There's no glass. It just disappeared and has become part of this fluffy white or gray dust." They actually only found one filing cabinet, if you can believe that, and it didn't even look like a filing cabinet. It was melted down to about the size of a basketball, but miraculously, it still had unburnt file folders and money inside of it that they were able to return to Ben and Jerry's.
Now, this is a really bizarre artifact. It's a Bible artifact that's in the 9/11 museum. The Pope even came to visit this item. Folks often like to point out that formerly molten metal that was on the page, it wasn't molten because it was hot. The pages would have burned up.
Sure.
It was liquid metal because of another reason. This is the elevation map of what was left. Here's what should have been there before. And right here, people survived in that little hump at the bottom of Building 3. The rest of Building 3 was gone.
So 16 people actually survived inside the collapse of the North Tower, and they were in Stairwell B in the center of the building.
I rolled to a corner and basically went into a fetal position and just waited for the end.
My helmet started flying off my head. I had forgotten to snap my helmet. So I grabbed my helmet. I guess instinctually, I just pulled myself down into the corner.
The collapse of the North Tower created a massive rush of air.
I was blown down 6 stories down to the first floor, and all I can remember
while I was being blown down was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There wasn't any time to think about anything.
The 110-story tower disintegrated in just 10 seconds.
It was that fast, yet for me it was kind of slow motion too at the same time. And I remember thinking to myself, I said, oh shit, this is it, we didn't make it.
Okay, 10-4, North Tower, stairwell B as in boy on the second floor.
The location given by Jay Jonas was unbelievable to the firefighters listening. The North Tower no longer existed. They asked for his location again.
He asked me that a couple times, and one time he asked me that. Somebody else got on the radio and said, where's the North Tower?
We saw nothing we could recognize in the fields. We expected to see chairs and file cabinets and what was left of offices. Everything was reduced to the finest state. It basically looked like mountains of dirt.
This dome of this 44-story building was right across the street from Tower 1.
It's not even touched.
Right, it's not clobbered.
There's nothing on it.
Right. Building 7 went away that afternoon, and over by the post office, you can see it didn't even spill completely across the street.
One of the key pieces of evidence which shows that this is what happened, that the buildings did indeed turn to dust before they hit the ground, or mostly to dust, is the seismic evidence.
Up above at the top, there's WTC1's impact on the ground. And what's below that, that blue data, that was an earthquake that was in Midtown Manhattan that same year. It's approximately the same magnitude. And it was a 2.4 instead of a 2.3. But you notice the signals are very, very different. Notice the high frequency of in the blue signal.
Yes.
But notice that you first get the primary wave arriving, that little, it's kind of like snout leading up to the big wave. And then the secondary wave is that bigger one. But you can't see those same signals from when the towers hit. If the towers are slamming down into the bedrock, they should be ringing like a tuning fork.
Right.
Here's the signal for the Tower 1. It lasted 8 seconds. It takes 9.5 seconds to throw a bowling ball off the roof and have it hit the ground below. The building went away faster than it could have fallen. It didn't hit the ground, didn't slam to the ground. That's why there's no S and P waves. There's only surface waves. And that's what you would get if you lifted the building off the ground. You know, think of two people sleeping together in the same bed. One person gets up, the other person, in a conventional mattress, the other person feels the disturbance.
Right.
If you lift a 500,000-ton building off the ground, it's going to cause a surface disturbance.
Right.
That's all that was recorded, not anything going boom on the bedrock. This is the King Dome. So here's a controlled demolition, and it produces a P wave and an S wave. So if we have Seattle King Dome, we're going to look at things relative to that. That made a 2.3 on the Richter scale when it was blown up by controlled demolition. And we have these two towers.
That looks like 9/11. It
was blown up by controlled demolition. And we have these two towers. Let's say for the Tower 2 is the first to go. So if we turn it to dust, all but the bottom 16 stories, and then drop a 16-story building to the ground, we record approximately the same seismic signal as what was recorded on 9/11. Just pretend this rest doesn't exist. And for Tower 2, if you turn it into dust above the 20th story and just drop a 20-story building to the ground, you get the seismic signal that was recorded. And for Building 7, it's all but the bottom 2.5 stories. Where's the rest of the building? WTC2 just went away at the top, and then WTC1, and then you have these various quarry blasts all day. And then see down here at the bottom, that was an earthquake in the Fox Islands, which is up part of the Aleutian Islands. But look at the thing just before then.
Fox Islands, which you guys all know pedophiles were flying kids to.
That was Building 7 going
It's
away.
all connected.
You can't even see it on the chart. It made a 0.6 equivalency on the Richter scale, which is like a jackhammer. And it was 6 times the mass of the King Dome. No wave traveled through the earth. It was only surface waves. That doesn't happen in building demolitions. You know, you always have an S wave and a P wave at building demolitions.
No tall building had ever collapsed primarily due to fire. But that's exactly what investigators believe happened to the 47-story World Trade Center Building 7 on September 11th.
World Trade Center 7 collapsed because of fires. We really have a new kind of progressive collapse that we have discovered here, which is a fire-induced progressive collapse. And in fact, we have shown for the first time that fire can induce a progressive collapse.
The buckled column caused additional collapsed floors and falling debris that removed support from adjacent interior columns. A chain reaction then caused other interior columns to fail in quick succession. The outside shell of the building fell.
And our analysis showed that even the smallest explosive charge that was capable of bringing down the critical column in the building, had it occurred, we would have seen sound levels of 120 to 130 decibels about a half a mile away. That would have been an incredibly loud sound, and that sound was not picked up by any of the videos or witnesses that we have talked to. Having a collapse of this nature is a very rare event.
What the hell?
Look out! Don't step in front of my camera.
Damn, that's badass. Very cool. That's awesome, man. People die and so do buildings. It's beautiful. They have a life of their own.
Nice job, team.
To reiterate, the official story of the collapse of Building 7 is that a typical office fire caused this 47-story building to fall in a matter of seconds. If we were to accept this NIST World Trade Center Building 7 report, we would have to conclude that no tall buildings are safe from the possibility of total unexpected collapse due to office fires.
So there's this new report that just came out last month in March of 2020 called A Structural Reevaluation of the Collapse of World Trade Center 7. Now, this study was conducted by the University of Alaska Fairbanks, their Institute of Northern Engineering, and was funded by the Architects and Engineers for 9/11 and cost something like $316,000. So you can go and download this 112-page report yourself and see once and for all that the official story given by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, that this building fell primarily due to a few isolated office fires and suffered this global collapse, this perfectly symmetrical free fall collapse due to a few isolated office fires. It's just completely bogus, bunk science. There's no truth to it. So you can know that for yourself now. Download the report, read it. My only criticism is that in these 112 pages, they don't mention the seismic data at all, that this 47-story building only made a 0.6 on the Richter scale, which is pretty much indistinguishable from background noise. I think that's a highly significant piece of evidence to mention. So to leave that out,
you know what sucks is all this stuff is so sciencey and physicsy. I can't repeat any of it to anybody. I just gotta go, watch the thing. I go something about the Richter scale and the decibels and everything. I don't know. Go fucking watch it.
It's highly suspicious to me.
You know about NIST, the National Institute of What was the S and the T? Well, their report sucked and it was wrong, and I don't buy it
because
I can't remember what it stands for.
And engineers also don't talk about the seismic data, and when Richard Gage has been questioned at some of his events, he says, "Oh, I don't know. It's all very confusing. I don't understand it."
When thermite cuts out the steel and you have all this steel falling, it's going to make a big rumble when it hits the ground. So how come the seismographic data that you don't present...
Why would it rumble if it's liquid?
it doesn't melt all the steel. Remember you said you cut it out, cutter charges, right? So as the steel's falling, it hits the ground, it makes a big vibration.
And hit the other buildings on the other side of the street.
This is mainly for you, sir. How come the seismographic data from New York City...
I don't understand the seismographic data. I haven't studied it.
It was turning to dust throughout the day, internally. And you saw an enormous amount of material pouring out of the building, one face and one face only for most of the day. And when it went away, it didn't make a seismic signal that traveled through the earth. It only left a surface wave. It did not slam to the earth. And the surface wave that it left was almost a non-existent event.
When you look at these fires, a lot of smoke, you know, they say where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, that's just because that's all we know. Take things like the microwave. Do we really understand what a microwave does? We just know that it heats our food, but it doesn't heat the paper. Why doesn't it heat the paper? Again, why is there all the paper on the ground?
Neither thermal energy nor kinetic energy can account for the events of 9/11. Only directed energy could leave all the paper and plastic.
Dude, I'm too dumb to, like, why are the beams completely melted and gone, but why is there paper?
Plastic ID cards unscathed while turning steel, concrete, and office furnishings to an ultra-fine dust.
Answer me that one, guys. If it was so hot it melted all the beams and all the walls, why is there all the paper there? Maybe it was a big energy weapon. Maybe it was a big microwave. What technology does DARPA have that we don't know about?
The whole theory that the thing pancaked, came down on itself, crushed.
Are they cloning people? Are they, like, what is going on? Do they have lasers they can shoot from space? Perhaps.
Itself.
Perhaps.
I don't see any signs of crushing. And when I say that, the wheat checks, and the wheat checks are the pieces, they almost look like a hashtag. Everybody knows what a hashtag looks like, right? They almost look like that, but what they are is they're made out of box steel, so they're hollow. And they're box steel that's welded together to look like that hashtag. And at the ends of them, there's 4 holes in the top, and they bolt to the next one that comes down. So these things are just all bolted together. The thing that really is...
Okay, this guy doesn't know how microwaves work, and now he's telling us how the building was put together. I mean, everything this guy says now is just nonsense.
My attention when I seen that...
He doesn't know how microwaves work. Enough
is at the end of these beams...
But maybe he's right.
Perfect. The 4 bolts are gone. Now remember, these beams are made out of steel, and the bolts that are holding together are made out of hardened steel. So they're probably 5, maybe 10 times as hard as the steel they're holding together. And normally, that's the last thing to go. So if this building actually did collapse or fall upon itself or something, those wheat checks, those ends would be ripped apart. Those bolts would still be there holding the pieces of the flange together, but what those flanges are welded to should be ripped. I don't see any signs. What I see is perfectly square ends of those wheat checks. Even if they rip the bolts through, those holes would be all elongated, torn, that whole end would be ripped out. It's just perfect holes without these hardened bolts. You know, as a mechanic,
Controlled demolition.
I bolt frames together, you extend chassis, you make sure you use hardened bolts, hardened washers, and when you see things fail, the bolts are still there. They're the last thing to let go because they're hard. They're made to hang on. So there's no signs of pancaking. You look at the pictures, you look at like the cover there, there's a better one over there even on this book. You look at you look at the cascading coming down. That's not pancaking. To me it's cascading. If everything was supposed to be pancaking, you wouldn't see beautiful, that corner of the outer shell of those wheat checks hanging there with, oh, another piece fell off. How do they fall off? How did that one piece come out of that wheat check with all those hardened bolts on it and not show any of them?
Or this intense grid, and the jet plane is just a pencil puncturing that screen netting. It really does nothing to the screen netting.
Wait, we missed the
Toasted cars.
Torn. They've completely failed. This thing come up.
It's important to realize that the towers were designed for airliner impacts. John Skilling, the structural engineer in charge, said that in the event of an airliner impact, quote, the building structure would still be there.
The building was designed to have a fully loaded 707 crash into it. That was the largest plane at the time. I believe that the building probably could sustain multiple impacts of jetliners because this structure is like the mosquito netting on your screen door, this intense grid, and the jet plane is just a pencil puncturing that screen netting. It really does nothing to the screen netting.
Wait, was Limp Bizkit really filming on the roof of the towers?
Toasted cars. We got to get to the toasted cars.
2 days before?
I say they're toast. They're history. I can't say they're burnt because I don't know that. But they're toast. I just decided to use that word to say something happened, messed them up. You can't fix it. You got to get a new one. But this one is quite interesting in that it has an abrupt, toasted, not toasted. Like it's like it's on the showroom floor. It just had a new wax job back there. What abruptly stops a real fire, a regular fire, doesn't do that. It would be lapping around the corner. Also, why aren't the lights melted?
I didn't hear of any fireballs
Why
rolling
aren't
down
the
the
lights
streets,
melted?
and cars were going into spontaneous combustion. They were just, there was no fireball that hit them. They just simply burst into flames for one reason or another. There was even a car park blocks away that the cars started smoking and catching fire, and no one questioned that.
Various detractors like to say that the cars got towed. I don't know about how some of them were, but I know these were not towed. You can see them before and after. And you can see cars adjacent to each other. One might be okay, and the other one isn't.
The other one's fine.
There are witness accounts of what happened to some of these cars too. For example, Patricia Ondrovich, who was a first responder, she, I think, came out of World Trade Center 7, and the cars were exploding right next to her.
The FDNY vehicles were remarkable. They were enormous ladder trucks, pumpers that looked like they were thrown around the fields like toys, and they reeked of unimaginable loss.
If your hand's on a stove burner, it's red hot stove burner, you don't stop and think about it.
I've never
that
seen
hand's
that
off
photo.
of it.
That's crazy.
It's reflex.
Right.
So if there's some sort of energy field within the building that's so painful, you just have to get away from it. Then suddenly they're out the window and like, how did I get here?
So NIST counted 104 jumpers from all the video and photo evidence that they looked at, but they also stated that the number must have been much higher because not all of them were captured on camera. And without speculating, you can see that something is causing them to jump out
they've been
on camera.
airbrushed from history? As part of its research into where the fire was at its most intense, NIST analyzed camera footage and still photographs and counted 104 jumpers, often recording the floor and exact window from which they left.
And without speculating, you can see that something is causing them to jump out the window. It's not a normal situation.
Okay, you guys are starting to sound like retards now. For context here, it's like you don't want to take a Bible verse out of context. You got to go 2-3 verses before to lead into it to go, okay, it doesn't sound too crazy. Let's actually see what he's trying to say here.
Then suddenly they're out the window and like, how did I get here?
So NIST counted 104 jumpers from all the video and photo evidence that they looked at, but they also stated that the number must have been much higher because not all of them were captured on camera. And without speculating, you can see that something is causing them to jump out the window. It's not a normal situation.
Why are they jumping?
The witness accounts and some of the evidence seem to show that these people were being irradiated with some kind of energy. And a likely candidate is some form of microwave energy, whereby the flesh in these people was being heated up to such an extent that they were jumping out.
You ever heard of active denial system?
Okay, from here on out, let's just keep having fun with it. I think they're claiming that the towers were microwaved. Look, I don't know shit. I know this was coordinated. I know Larry Silverstein knew this was going to happen. We all know why this was done, right? We all know no one buys the official narrative. No one believes in any of this shit, right? And we're 30 years away from ever finding out, real concrete stuff about what's going on. These folks here, the good folks who made this documentary, they did give research. Now we're at the part where they're saying that it was put in the microwave like a bowl of Chef Boyardee.
These people was being heated up to such an extent that they were jumping out.
You heard of active denial system? I'm not saying that's what this is, but just as a parallel. It's a microwave, they put it for crowd control.
That's DARPA shit.
And it makes you think that you're burning up, so you just have to get out of there. You just leave no matter what. You don't think about it. So maybe some people were jumping from that. I don't know if that's what it was, but it's consistent with something like that going on inside the building, but not outside.
I would have done so many flips,
and we
dude.
do know the building was.
I would jump out flipping a ton, like that, so I would go unconscious before I even hit the ground. I'd do a big pinwheel. Whee! Whee! I'd do a huge pinwheel. I'd be throwing up. And I'd have my dick out. I'd be the one who's remembered, because I got to be remembered somehow. Come on, we all want to be remembered. I don't want to just be some guy that jumped from the Twin Towers. I want to be the guy who had a big dick. Or what if I jumped out of the Twin Towers doing goatsy, flipping backwards like this? I have my legs back like this. I have my legs back. Hold on. Legs back. Okay. And I'm doing goatsy like this with my ass. Doing this, spreading my ass like that, right? And I'm flipping backward out the Twin Towers. That's how I do it. I'd have a little bit of fun on the way down. Fuck it.
Turning to dust inside for the hour before its demise.
Now let's just summarize the reason why you state that the towers didn't hit the ground.
Well, they didn't burn up, nor did they slam to the ground, but turned into dust in midair. And we know that because if they slammed to the ground, we'd have a pile of rubble left over. If they slammed to the ground, the seismic signal would have shown that, which it didn't. And if they slammed to the ground, they're actually built in the Hudson River, 70 feet below the water table on bedrock. And so there's this dike around them. You get 2 500,000-ton buildings and another 250,000-ton building, slam it down, you're going to bust the water retaining wall. It wasn't ruptured. If it ruptured, you would have flooded all of lower Manhattan. In the underground, the subways, and so forth. Actually, when they were, cleaning up the remains, there's a little corner of Building 6 that was left. In the northwest corner, they didn't want to use explosives to bring that down. They used cables to pull it down, or grapplers holding a cable to the thing and rocking it back and forth and pulling it down, because they were afraid to use explosives for fear it would damage the bathtub wall. And that's just a 6-story building, and a corner of a 6-story building. So you have 2 110-story buildings, each 500,000 tons, and that didn't damage the bathtub was damaged, but not by the building's demise, but by the earth-moving equipment that came in, the next day.
That's right.
And the PATH trains, that's Port Authority Trans-Hudson. It goes under the Hudson River, and it comes up on bedrock underneath the World Trade Center on the bedrock there. And you would think if something mashed down on it, it would damage that tunnel.
Absolutely.
It was built, around 1909, I think is when it opened, something like that. They must have made stuff better back then.
I am standing inside of PATH train 745, and I have to say I just stepped into here a few moments ago, and it is surreal. This train is exactly the same intact as it was on the day of the 9/11 attacks. They haven't done a single thing to it. As you can see here, there's even pieces of the train still on board, dust and dirt everywhere. So it really remains as it was that day on September 11, 2001.
If we go down below the ground in that corner,
Daniel Penny wrestles her to the ground, puts a knife
well,
through her
here's
throat.
what it looked like. The building indeed, the main body went missing, just like it was sliced off there. So the mall is in the first story below ground. And there's some firefighters that were walking along there. We're going to go down one story and look at them. Here they are. That's right under that area. It's a little bit punched in down.
So guys, let's continue this next week. Shut the fuck up, Very Good Clips. Keep cutting clips. You're going to be printing money soon. Go subscribe to them.